Welcome to this tutorial where I'm going to help you understand how to use unless. We will look at what unless means, when you can use it and when you can't. So let's start. What does it mean? The first thing to remember is that unless is a conditional phrase, so we will most often meet it after will, because unless means if not. If I don't, if it doesn't. In some cases, we can use unless instead of if it doesn't, if I don't. Если, не, for my Russian-speaking audience. How do we use it? I want you to think of some realistic, possible future situations. You know, if plus first form of the verb. For example, if the weather is good this weekend, what will you do? I'll go to the park if it doesn't rain. If it doesn't. Remember, this is what unless means, if not. So I can also say, I'll go to the park unless it rains. Notice that I didn't say unless it doesn't rain, because unless already has a negative inside it. That's the first common mistake people make. Try to rephrase these first conditionals with unless. Let's try now. She won't pass her exams if she doesn't study. Yes, she won't pass her exams unless she positive studies. First form of the verb, it's what we call a first conditional. Next example, we won't go to the cafe if you don't want to. Yes, we won't go to the cafe unless you want to. Now try one example taking away unless and replacing it with if not. I will be late unless I run. That's right, I'll be late if I don't run. The next way we use unless, it's for afterthoughts. You've made a decision about the future or a promise with will. So you've said something like, I'll put the biscuits back. And then you think, oh, maybe my guest still wants a biscuit. So you add, unless you want one, of course. Если, конечно же, ты не хочешь. If you don't want one. I'll pick you up in the car later. Oh, unless you want to walk. I'm not going to the meeting, unless you want to go. A note about written punctuation. If you're writing with unless in this way, put a dash before unless. Finally, you can use unless plus the third form of the verb, and this is a construction we sometimes use for instructions. For example, do not unfasten your seatbelts unless instructed to do so. Unless you are instructed. You can take away you are. Только при случае инструкции. That's how it translates in this use. Don't take pictures unless invited to do so. Do not take pictures if you are not invited to do so. Фотографировать можно только по приглашению. When we take away you are and leave unless plus the third form, this sounds formal in spoken English. So these days we normally only see unless plus the third form in written form. Now, when can't you use unless? When do you have to use if not? Well, firstly, we don't normally ask questions with unless. So we would not normally say, will you be late unless you run? We have to say, will you be late if you don't run? And it's definitely wrong for questions with what. What will you do if you don't pass? Never, what will you do unless you pass? Next, it's not good grammar with another negative. Russian speakers, this one is for you. We don't like double negatives in English. So I'll stay for the whole day unless it isn't interesting. No, we don't do that. Go for, I'll stay for the whole day unless it's boring. And we wouldn't change the sentence, I will be late if I walk, to I will be late unless I don't walk. Too clumsy. Finally, the most complex rule when you can't use unless. You have to use if not for changing feelings. So not, I'll be disappointed unless I win. You have to say, I'll be disappointed if I don't win. I'll be angry unless he phones. No, I'll be angry if he doesn't phone. But why? With unless, the will part has to be your normal routine action or state. The unless part changes your normal intended action. So, I'll walk unless it rains. My plan is to walk. Maybe I usually walk. Only the rain changes this. Here, I'll be angry unless he calls. Not right. This is wrong. If we say it like this, here, I'm always angry. Only his call can change this. I'll be angry if he doesn't call. Here, I'm not always angry. I will only be angry if he doesn't call. Thanks a lot. I hope that helps and I will see you again soon.